Hi, my name is Stevie and welcome to Sweetest Sips. Today we're going to talk about bourbon. Now, you've probably heard this 100 times, but there is a difference between whiskey and bourbon whiskey. Whiskey is kind of the overarching term, the class that it falls in, and then bourbon whiskey is one of the subclasses. There's a few other kinds of whiskey like Irish, Japanese, Scotch, Canadian, rye, Tennessee, and then finally bourbon whiskey. And then even within bourbon whiskey, there are a couple of other kinds. Now, what makes whiskey a bourbon? According to the U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, Title 27, a bourbon must be made in the U.S., have a mash bill of at least 51% corn, be distilled to no higher than 160 proof, be barreled in brand new charred oak barrels, and bottled at no higher than 125 proof. Any bourbon that is aged less than 4 years has to have an age statement on the bottle. An age statement is not required above 4 years. And the age of the bourbon is dictated by its youngest barrel, meaning that if you have a combination of 3 different barrels, one that is 4 years, one that is 5 years, and one that is 6 years, technically that bottle of bourbon is only 4 years old. Now there's another one I want to highlight just a little bit, and that's Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey has the same requirements as bourbon with one little difference. It's a thing called the Lincoln County process. Now, there are no federal regulations on what makes a Tennessee whiskey, but according to Tennessee House Bill 1084, all whiskeys that are Tennessee whiskeys must undergo the Lincoln County process. The Lincoln County process, developed in Lincoln County, Tennessee by a freedman named Nathan Nearest Green, is a process where, prior to barreling, the spirit is filtered through maple wood charcoal. Now, this doesn't necessarily add any flavor to the whiskey, it just mellows it out a little bit before it goes into the barrel. And then after that, it follows the exact same requirements as bourbon. Now, something that I didn't know before doing research for this video is that Nathan Green, or Nathan Nearest Green, is the namesake for the Uncle Nearest Distillery. And he's the one that taught Jack Daniels, the founder of the Jack Daniels Distillery, how to do the Lincoln County process. I believe that it's important to not just think about Jack Daniels and George Dickel when you're thinking about Tennessee whiskey, but to also keep Nathan Green in mind, because without him, we wouldn't have Tennessee whiskey as it exists today. Now, earlier I mentioned mash bills. According to the CFR, it has to be at least 51% corn, but on average, most distilleries are actually going to have about 60 to 75% corn in their mash bill, with 5 to 15% malted barley, and the rest as flavoring grains. The 4 most important cereal grains are corn, wheat, rye, and barley. Now, even though most mash bills are a combination of only 3 to 4 different cereal grains, every single mash bill is going to be different. It's kind of like how having different amounts of milk, sugar, flour, and eggs can be the difference between a loaf of bread and a stack of pancakes. And that's why there are so many different bourbons out there, and you're not guaranteed to like every single one. Now, let's get a little more specific about the grains. Corn and barley aren't going to provide that much flavor to the overall spirit. They give you a little bit of that corn sweetness, but it's not nearly as effective as the other 2 flavoring grains, wheat and rye. Wheat is going to give you a smooth, nutty, very soft flavor. It's going to do a great job at letting the sweet, soft, mellow flavors from the wood really come through. And rye is going to be hot, it's going to be bold, spicy, it's really going to hit your tongue hard. And ryes tend to skew a little higher in proof as well, so it's fire and fire. And if I'm being honest, ryes are my favorite because I love it when a whiskey really makes itself known. When you pick up a bottle of bourbon, every label is going to have these 6 things. They are federally regulated, federally mandated. It goes right back to the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 27. It must have the brand name. The brand name cannot mislead you at all about what is actually in the bottle. There is then the class or type, whether it's a Kentucky straight, whether it's a just straight bourbon whiskey, etc. And once again, it cannot mislead you about what is in the bottle. Next is going to be the net contents. This is normally in metric units, so you'll see 50 milliliters and upwards to 1.75 liters. It's going to have the alcohol content, which is generally in ABV or alcohol by volume. It has to be in a percentage, though it is often followed by the proof, which is just double the ABV. The name and address of both the distiller and bottler, because sometimes they are not the same people and you have to have both. And every single bottle is going to have a government health warning. It's going to be the exact same warning on every single bottle, but it has to be there. For my example, I used Revival Bourbon, and I want you to note here that this bottle has an age statement on it. It is 2 years old, meaning that it has not reached the 4-year minimum to not require an age statement on the bottle. The biggest takeaway here about labels is that they cannot contain any misleading information. These labels can't lie to you, and if they get caught lying to you, that product gets taken off the market so fast. Now, there are a few things that you'll see on some labels that don't have exact federal definitions, such as barrel proof. Now, according to the CFR Title 27, a label can have barrel proof on it if the spirit is bottled at no more than 2 degrees lower than the time it was dumped from the barrels. Now, the regulations don't state that it has to be a certain proof, it just has to be within a certain margin in relation to the proof of the barrel originally. It could also say bottled in bond. Now, according to the Bottled in Bond Act of 1897, it must be distilled in 1 season in a government bonded facility, aged 4 years, with no color or flavoring added, water used to reduce proof if needed, and bottled at 100 proof. Now, the Bottled in Bond Act was created in 1897 because during this time there was rampant alteration and dilution of a lot of products. This act was created as a way of ensuring that what was on the label was what was actually in the bottle. Bourbon is a very big topic, and I know today I only covered the bare bones, but I hope that gives you a good understanding about what bourbon is specifically and what makes it so different from regular whiskey. Hopefully in another video I'll be able to talk about more of the science of the fermentation, maturation, and aging processes, and maybe even go over how to prepare flights or how to do proper tastings. But for now, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me here today at Sweetest Sips.